SVG says the playoffs are the most overcomplicated thing he's ever been a part of. Dale Jr. gets another one of his guys into an Xfinity Series car, and NASCAR reveals changes to the Aero package ahead of Talladega. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Next year, there is going to be a surplus of elite young talent in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. The names are made here era is back. More on that in a moment. This episode is sponsored by Opti-Coat Pro Ceramic Coating. You'll see more from them here in a few minutes. They have over 350 professional installers across the US and Canada. Been around 20 years, based in Memphis, Tennessee. You'll see what they're all about here in a few minutes. But first, a follow-up to something we discussed yesterday. Several aerodynamic changes were proposed ahead of this weekend's Cup Series race at Talladega Superspeedway. NASCAR finally settled on a compromise. Among the changes are an extended right side roof rail been raised 2 inches. There's also been a fabric placed underneath the right roof flap, and an extended rocker panel skirt. I'll link the official NASCAR release down in the description below if you'd like to click it and learn even more about every fine detail. The point of these changes is to keep cars on the ground. Blowovers at Michigan and Daytona this summer spooked NASCAR. They felt they needed to make a change ahead of this weekend's playoff race at Talladega. Some of the proposals included a roof rail that was going to extend all the way down onto the front windshield. Some of these renderings looked kind of ridiculous. Drivers agreed. They were also concerned with visibility. I'm glad that NASCAR listened to those concerns and was willing to find a compromise. Will these changes do everything NASCAR was hoping they would do? Probably not, but I'm sure it's a step in the right direction. It won't impact the driver's visibility, and aesthetically, these changes are much more pleasing to the eye than what was proposed. NASCAR is going to foot the bill for these changes. I still don't love NASCAR making significant aerodynamic changes just days before an important playoff race, but at least with these changes, there's not a giant deflector on the front windshield. So overall, good compromise all around. Glad that both sides were able to collaborate. Next up, yesterday, Junior Motorsports made a big announcement. Fresh off a big late model stock victory at Martinsville Speedway, Carson Kvapil will drive the #1 JRM Chevy full-time next season in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Bass Pro Shops will serve as primary sponsor. The 21-year-old late model superstar has shined in select Xfinity Series starts this season. He's made 8 starts, has 4 top 10 finishes. His best finish was second at Dover back in the spring. He's looked especially good at the shorter ovals. In his 3 starts on tracks 1 mile or shorter, his average finish is 3.6. He's made 5 starts at tracks larger than a mile. His average finish is 16th. Though he was running top 10 at Michigan, led laps in that race, but spun out on the final lap. So overall, I would say Kvapil has been impressive in limited attempts this year. He's the son of 2003 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion Travis Kvapil. Mentioned Bass Pro Shops, they're on board for 23 races, more than 2/3 of the Xfinity Series schedule, so that's huge. First Josh Berry, now Carson Kvapil, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kelly, Junior Motorsports' dedication to getting these talented short track racers legitimate NASCAR opportunities is admirable. They wanted Josh Berry, they figured out the sponsorship later. They wanted Carson Kvapil, Bass Pro stepped up in a big way. It's refreshing to see this in a series where funded drivers reign supreme. It's nice that JRM, Hendrick, that group is able to leverage what partnerships they have to put hard-nosed racers in good equipment. I don't mean this as a shot at anyone. They're not immune to funded drivers. I mean, Brandon Jones has driven their cars for 2-3 years now. Sammy Smith still under contract. At least he made the playoffs this year. But between Berry a few years ago, now Carson Kvapil, even Connor Zilic, who I understand is a Trackhouse driver, the fact that they worked that partnership out to get Zilic very talented in one of their cars next season, that's great. It's an exciting time to be a NASCAR Xfinity Series fan going into 2025, assuming the CW gets their streaming act together. Between Carson Kvapil and Connor Zilic and Christian Eckes and Daniel Dye, Nick Sanchez, maybe other drivers yet to be announced. The Xfinity Series is truly back in its names are made here era. Not to mention, we could see one-offs from the likes of Corey Day, maybe the Gray brothers, Corey Heim with Sam Hunt, maybe even William Sawalich gets a couple shots at it. Plenty of reason to be excited about all of the young talent coming up through the ranks. Love seeing Junior Motorsports get these guys legitimate opportunities. Expectations next year, I mean, he should win. At least a race or two, should make the playoffs. When you drive for Junior Motorsports, expectations are high. I think Carson Kvapil is good enough, experienced enough to live up to them. If you watch the Cars Tour at all, and I'm a very casual Cars Tour viewer, you know what this kid is capable of, especially at short track. So good luck to Carson Kvapil next year in the number 1 car. Once again, this episode is sponsored by Opti-Coat. Jason from Opti-Coat stopped by my place recently. Here's how that went. He showed me step by step how to protect my car with Opti-Coat Pro.
Start off washing your car. We're going to use the Optimum No Rinse Wash and Shine. This is going to be 1 ounce for every 2 gallons. Mix that up, and that's what we're going to wash our vehicle with. We won't need a hose or anything like that. There's polymers in there, and it encapsulates the dirt, which means it pulls it up into the little water molecules and wipes right off. Doesn't scratch your vehicle, and it's prepped, ready for our next step. Something else to check out here. It's Optimum Power Wheel and Tire. It actually foams, so it sticks to the wheel and tire. You can already see it breaking down the dirt and the grease on there. It'll actually start getting white, and then we know all that dirt, grease, road grime, brake dust is starting to work its way off. The Hyper Compound is the cutting agent, but it's also diminishing, which means I can use it to not only get scratches and swirl marks out, but as I slow it down, I can actually finish it out just like a polish. So instead of having to come back 2, 3, 4 times to do it, I can do it in 1 step. And for most, I'd say 80 to 90% of the cars, I can do it in 1 step. Again, this is great for old cars that have lots of swirl marks or car wash damage and things like that, and you don't have to come back and do it again and again. We have polished this after a full decontamination. We paint prepped it, and now we're actually going to apply the Opti-Coat Pro. This is an SIC compound, so it's actual true ceramic. I'm applying it here with my foam applicator. And what you'll start seeing is kind of a rainbow effect. We call that flashing. And what that is it's actually chemically bonding to that clear coat, causing a permanent protection that makes it really easy to maintain. And on metallic cars such as this, it helps magnify those metallic pieces, which then again makes it look glossier. Hey, this is Jason with Opti-Coat, Optimum Polymer Technologies. Happy to be part of NASCAR and do some sponsorship. Was talking with Eric and he invited me out because he wasn't sure exactly what ceramic coating was all about. So I came out here and ceramic coated his car. We did the Optimum No Rinse, the Optimum Power Wheel and Tire. We did a 1-step polish and compound with our Hyper Compound and finished that off with the Opti-Coat Pro. This is a permanent coating, does not have to be reapplied. Watch this. You don't think that'll help keep your car clean? Nothing will.
150,000 miles in, and my old Camry's never looked better. Thanks to Opti-Coat for sponsoring the show. Not to be overshadowed by Carson Kvapil, Kaden Honeycutt also made a full-time announcement this week. He'll drive the number 45 Nice truck next season. Another 21-year-old driver who's shown promise racing part-time this season. He's made 10 Truck Series starts for Nice Motorsports this year. He has 5 top 10 finishes. He has a couple of 4th place runs at Kansas. Nice Motorsports across the board is not quite as competitive as they used to be, but that number 45 truck is. Ross Chastain got that 45 to victory lane at Darlington. But you compare Kaden Honeycutt's numbers to Ross Chastain's this year, they're pretty similar. Outside of the Darlington win, they're pretty dang similar, and Honeycutt is largely responsible for that 45 truck being top 10 in owners' points. The next best Nice truck is the 41, I think is 23rd in owners' points. So Kaden Honeycutt, I believe, is given an A performance in B equipment this season part-time. I'm excited to see what he can do full-time next year. We saw Carson Hocevar race his way into the championship 4 in Nice equipment, and he leveraged that success into a full-time Cup Series opportunity less than a year later. I'm not saying Kaden Honeycutt has Cup Series in his immediate future, but Nice has proven themselves to be a legitimate rung on the NASCAR ladder. Good luck to Kaden Honeycutt, another young driver who I think has a ton of potential. Before we wrap things up, I would be remiss if I didn't offer my congratulations to Bubba Wallace and his wife Amanda. This past weekend, they welcomed their first child into the world. That's really, really cool to see. Congratulations to both of them. Wanted to share that with y'all in case anyone missed it. Very cool to see. Let's wrap things up with Shane Van Gisbergen. Deb Williams, writing for Auto Week, included some very interesting SVG quotes. I'll link the full piece down in the description below, but the quote that everyone was reacting to yesterday on social media was this one. SVG said, quote, "I studied the playoff format last night trying to understand how it works. The playoff system is crazy. It's the most overcomplicated racing series I've been a part of, but I think it's pretty cool. It's great for the fans." See, I noticed a lot of the online discourse ignored those last couple bits where he says it's pretty cool, it's great for the fans, and just focused on the overcomplicated part of it. Look, I'm known on the internet as a playoff format defender. I have my hangups with it. I don't love the winning you're in during the regular season. I don't love a one-race winner-take-all finale. But even though I would consider myself a playoff defender overall, even I am not a big fan of how overcomplicated this system is. In my day-to-day life, I'll talk to family members, friends who are very casual NASCAR fans. They'll try watching races, especially this time of year, and the playoff format goes right over their head. Playoff points versus regular points. The points reset every round. Oh, if you win, you get an automatic berth into the next round. Every round is 3 races except the final round, which is a one-race winner-take-all. Huh? If you watch this show every day or you watch every race every weekend, you've probably figured out the playoff format by now, but it is a serious barrier to entry to new fans, and apparently even to new drivers if SVG is spending time studying up on it. I genuinely believe that this playoff format is a better, more fair system than the original Chase, where everyone just reset to 0 points at the start of the postseason, like eliminating any success you may have had in the regular season. I believe this format is better, but with that fairness comes a lot of complicated numbers. So when SVG says it's the most overcomplicated system he's been a part of, he's probably not wrong. We're getting to that time of year every year where fans love to debate the validity of the playoff format. In some ways it falls short, in other ways I think it's the best this series has seen. But one thing is for sure, whether you like the playoffs or don't like the playoffs, it is fairly complicated. It's difficult for any new fan to fully wrap their head around. If I'm SVG, I wouldn't overcomplicate things. The only numbers you need to worry about are that you're 6th in points, 8 points above the round of 8 cutoff. That's all that matters. Do what your crew chief says at Talladega. If they say ride around in the back, ride around in the back. If they say go for stage points, go for stage points. Run hard. Doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. Anyway, share your thoughts down in the comment section below. Leave a like if you enjoyed this episode. Subscribe for more NASCAR content and commentary every single day. And as always, a very huge thank you to my generous Patreon supporters. This show grows because of folks like you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, folks. I will catch you again real soon. Take care, y'all.